They're coming here on Monday, so you're not going. Welcome. Welcome to Boulder Rotary, the best place to be on a Friday afternoon. Please stand, which you already are. Tom Chesney, as he leads us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. And now you may be seated, and will those who are visiting Rotarians please stand? Seeing no visiting Rotarians, will those who have guests today please stand with their guest?
Thank you. Hi, I wanted to introduce my guest, Fahad Amasor. He is from Saudi Arabia and a young leader in that country. Please welcome Fahad.
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, a special guest flew in from Seattle. It's my son, Chris Pottinger. Yeah, he's a designer with REI, and he was here for a trade show in Denver.
Welcome.
I have with me today my husband, Guy Radcliffe, and I wanted to know how many people in here have ever had an echocardiogram exam. I can't even say it. You know, the ultrasound where they scan your heart when you're doing a stress test. And so people who know who that is, well, my husband wrote that software, and so he was the developer of that technology.
Thank you.
My guest today for the third time is Linda Davidson, works at Bertha Hashaway, and she has her application here. I'm waiting for one more signature if anyone would like to step on over.
I want to sign that, Cinda.
Right there. So you're... Thank you.
And welcome.
My guest is my husband, Clyde. Last week when I read the rib, speech therapist here, I told him what the presentation was today and asked him if he wanted to come. And he was kind of like, well, it sounds interesting. Maybe I'd like to come. And then this morning, I asked him if he wanted to come, and he said, well, what's for lunch? And I said, lasagna. And he said, oh, well, today is National Lasagna Day. So there you go.
Today is National Lasagna Day? Well, I'm pleased to introduce several guests. With me is Ann Walsh. Ann is the manager of environmental remediation for Union Pacific Railroad. Think Hell on Wheels, if you've ever seen that Netflix film. Ann is a product of Rotarians. Both of her parents are former presidents at their club in Casper, Wyoming. And Ann's gone the whole route of what a youth can do in Rotary. So she's looking for her home in Rotary. So we're really pleased she's here today. Thank you, Ann. Welcome. And also Kelly Wensler and Gary Ritzer gave us a call to say, gee, we're really interested in that program you have going. And I said, gee, we're really interested in you visiting and maybe learning more about our Rotary Club too. So Kelly is the CEO of Garkle, which is a software development company, and Gary is her business partner, and together they've been in Ritzer. And together they've been in business since December of 17. So welcome. We look forward to seeing you again.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce my youngest my daughter, my youngest person in the Burton household. So proud of her. She graduated from Southern Methodist University, and before she graduated, she had a signed contract with Intel to work for their financial department. And so she's in San Francisco right now, and she came here to visit us. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Eric, you're our speaker. We're going to introduce you later.
No. Eric is actually my guest.
Oh,
so
I'm
I
sorry.
get to introduce Eric.
Go ahead.
Eric is a friend of mine. We do Muay Thai kickboxing together. He has an incredible hook that I always have to avoid. He's a business consultant. He and his wife, Erin, live here in Boulder. So, Eric Bailey.
Thank you, Eric.
Hi, it's a real pleasure to bring back my wife, Louise Pearson, artist, musician, and full-time grandmother.
Welcome to all of our guests. There were no visiting Rotarians. Two things that we're trying to do this year to include participation. It's our 100-year anniversary, so we're looking at 100 ways to be included in Rotary. And one of the first ways that I wanted to point out is to show up at an elementary or middle school and participate in the 4-way test. A second way to participate is in do 100 acts of kindness over the year. These can be big or small, and you can learn more at www.29gifts.org or in the book by Cammie Walker called 29 Gifts, How a Month of Giving Can Change Your Life. We encourage participation, and every week we're going to be recommending 1 or 2 things that you can do to participate. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you and welcome to everyone. Now, last week was my first meeting, and if those of you who were here remember how Fred wasn't there and I had us do the Pledge of Allegiance to a blue screen. A total rookie mistake, and that's never going to happen again, because from now on, I always carry a spare with me everywhere that I go. Sue Deans with this week's vignette.
Hello. As you know, if you were here last time, we are going to be reading some historic vignettes every meeting, and Lena Kotke and Carol Griever and I will be doing that. And as I have been compiling some of these, you realize how the more things change, the more they stay the same. So you might recognize a couple of themes here. We've started with around 1919 and we'll go forward from there. So this was reported by one of the club historians, Replier, who wrote in 1956 about the first 39 years of the club. Getting to Denver was even more complicated in 1919 than it is now, but maybe with less traffic. For years, the businessmen of the Rotary Club, many of whom held public offices, including many mayors through the years, sought to improve connections with Denver so that Boulder could get more of the tourist market. Heard about that lately? As they do now, Texans and others came to Chautauqua, and tourists from many other areas came to Colorado, but found it hard to get to Boulder. In those days, the dirt road to Denver, dirt road, headed east, then north around Valmont Hill, and east again to a point due north of Lafayette, then south to the big city. There was no bus line. From 1908 to 1926, the Denver and Interurban Railroad, which was called the Galloping Goose by the students, connected Denver and Boulder through Westminster, Broomfield, and Louisville, with connections during the summer to El Dorado Springs. It entered town through the campus, then went south of the high school athletic field, across Broadway, then back across Broadway, and eventually to the depot at 14th and Water Street. Water Street was later named Canyon, and after 2 moves, the 1890 depot is now out in Boulder Junction, housing a restaurant. One snowy day, the Galloping Goose slid into a train that was crossing Broadway, and fortunately, there were no serious casualties. Later on, the turnpike came, but we'll get to that later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next up, John Cockey and Dave Hoover. Come on up.
Thank you, Mike. What a great time to be a Boulder Rotarian, you know? I mean, being a member of our Boulder Rotary Club during our centennial year is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think most of us in this room are going to be around for our 200th anniversary. So let's enjoy this one, right? Well, as you can see from our meeting even today, and as you've heard in past meetings, we're celebrating our centennial in many different ways. One of them is our club's gifts to the community, which you've all heard about. Our 3 water bottle filling stations, our enhancements to the International Peace Park, our mindfulness garden at Boulder Community Health's new mental health building, and our tree planting service project, where we'll all be able to get our hands dirty and muddy planting trees this next spring. The total of these gifts that we are making to our community is about $100,000, and we need to raise the funds to pay for them. In order to facilitate this, our own club foundation has established a centennial fund to collect the funds that we raise to ensure 2 things. Number 1, that they will be 100% tax deductible. And secondly, that the funds that are contributed as a part of our centennial year drive can only be used for good works. These funds are not used for club operations. Our objective this year, however, is not only to raise money for our centennial projects, but to also provide a base of funds for our club's good works as we move forward into the next century of service. So our hope is that we're going to raise substantially greater than $100,000. Now, how do we do this? Well, past District Governor Norris Hermsmeyer had suggested to our planning committee maybe create a Club 1919 in honor of the year of our founding for those members who might be able to contribute $1,919 or more. Well, our planning committee thought, what a great idea. Or I should say, and we expanded on that idea. Gary Berg, another past president who was working on our committee, said we need to think of this as kind of a slow motion paddle raiser. We've all been to paddle raisers, and we know you start out by asking for the biggest gifts first. So we were thinking, well, this 1919 club sounds really good, but what they always do at a paddle raiser is to say, is there somebody who might be able to contribute, let's say $19,190 to start us off as a lead gift? Well, the answer to that question is we do have somebody, and I'm pleased to introduce Dave Hoover, who together with his wife Suzanne have committed to our lead gift of $19,190. David.
Gosh, if I'd have known this was going to happen, I might have done a little more. So yeah, I figured that. That was really a dumb thing to say. So I think I've known John Cockey, I think it was 1980 or 81 when we first met.
Some of you may know John's an attorney. That's a joke. Come on, it's not going to hurt. And the reason that the primary reason we decided to do this was because John asked us to do it. And, you know, being an attorney, John has provided some legal services to us over the years. And, you know, if you follow the news, I don't think we have any recordings, do we, John?
No, none whatsoever, Dan.
So
I wouldn't know how to work a machine.
yeah, and actually this was all done before all that got to be even important, but I have been thinking about that. No. No, we're pleased that we're able to do this. And I think as I was reading the letter and you know, the Club 1919 and so forth, really, and this is everybody's ability to do things, whether it's with their time or their resources, is different. And I certainly understand and appreciate that. And for those who are tight financially, you know, we hope everybody will participate at some level.
Yep.
But by the same token, when I look at a $50,000 match from a deal and 19 already in the bag, this ought to be a layup. We ought to really get after this, and hopefully you'll respond to what John was talking about, and we can get a nice nucleus of money beyond what's been promised at this point to really do more good works in the community. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, I got a couple more remarks. Well, again, we are very grateful to David and Suzanne, and our relationship does go a long way back, which is very special. So I would just mention, you know, if there's anyone else out there who would like to join David and Suzanne at the $19,000 level, we are certainly willing to accept that. And there are pledge forms on your tables where you could indicate that, and we will certainly acknowledge you. But right now, in all seriousness, our focus right now gets back, again, we're talking about this slow motion paddle raiser that Gary Berg shared with us. We're focusing on $1,919 gifts. And I'm pleased to be able to report that in addition to David and Suzanne's lead gift, we presently have 12 founding members that have committed to our 1919 club. But what we'd really like to have is an additional 20 to 30 by the end of August, okay? So we really ask that you earnestly consider, and we know it can be a stretch for all of us, you earnestly consider making this level of commitment during our centennial year. In addition to being recognized as founding members of Club 1919, you will get to wear this amazing pin, okay? In addition to your centennial pin, okay? So, and thanks to the generosity of Gary Berg, you will be invited to dinner at the Academy Sunday evening, September 9. And you won't have to pay anything for the dinner if you've committed to $1,919, okay? So it's a heck of a deal. It's a free dinner. But let me get back, though, in all seriousness. Our planning committee did understand that not all of us are in a position to commit at the level of $1,919, and yet one of our primary objectives throughout this whole centennial year is to involve everybody in the club in all of our activities. So getting back to our slow motion paddle raiser, I will give you a heads up that beginning in September, we will be inviting gifts of $191.90 or greater. And in December, we will be inviting gifts of $19.19 or greater. And everybody who contributes at whatever level is a member of Club 1919, and everybody gets this amazing pin. So it's our sincere desire that we will have 100% participation of all of our club members, that will all be not only members of Boulder Rotary, but of Club 1919. But let me just remind us all what we're really about. It's not really about the pin or Club 1919. What we're really doing here is we are making whatever level of commitment we can to our amazing club to celebrate the 100 years of service that this club has already done and to lay the foundations for another 100 years of service. So that's really what we are about, not so much the pin. And the other thing we're about is having fun. So let's celebrate this year. Again, thanks to David and Suzanne for their amazing lead gift. And I look forward to reporting as we move forward that we're going to blow the top off of this and raise lots of money for good works. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dave. Just wonderful. Good explanation. Thank you. Introducing our speaker, Gary Kahn. Come on up. Thank you, Kevin, for taking such a complex subject and presenting it here today, so in such an easily digestible manner. John Sullivan with the raffle, and while John is coming up, if Sue and Sharon could come up as well, and Darla and Jem. If you have a raffle ticket, please stand up. If you bought a raffle ticket, and we'll pick the winner right now. What is the winning pot? How do we have? $57. $57 will go to the person who has this number: 175.
I don't have my reading glasses.
959. 959. Who's got it? Bob. All right. We'll get that to you by the end of. Okay, great. I'll keep the. You want to put it back over there, the winning ticket? Yeah, we got to keep that. Okay, great. And then we have a new member induction with Sue and Sharon. Come on up. Yeah, just keep it.
Thank you, Mike. I am thrilled to introduce my friend Sharon Niels. And Sharon and I served on the board of the Dairy Arts Center for 8 or 9 years together. And I enjoyed working with her so much that I got into a book club that she was also in. So we spend a lot of time together. Sharon is a retired language arts teacher from Boulder Valley Schools. She taught at Southern Hills Middle School and Bear Creek, Douglas, and Columbine elementary schools during her 32 years of teaching. And I think many of you have had children who were in Sharon's classes, because I've heard her mention that. She received an Impact on Education Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2002 and was nominated for Colorado Teacher of the Year in 1997. She also is an expert on young adult literature and wrote What's New in Young Adult Novels and Ideas for Classroom Use, and also blogs about YA books in the classroom at What's New in Young Adult Novels. She also has been one of the pivotal people in developing the programming at the Bodecker Theater at the Dairy Arts Center, and chairs the ad hoc committee of citizens who present ideas for films to schedule, and she sends out a little newsletter every week. If you want to get it, you should talk to her about what's coming up, and I use it faithfully. She's also still involved with the Dairy in organizing the Dairy Center Honors this year. She back to film for a second, co-chairs the film committee for the Conference of World Affairs. Sharon is married to Boulder lawyer Richard Niels and has been for 43 years. She and Rich have 2 sons, Chris and Jeff, both born in Boulder, attended Bear Creek, Southern Hills, and Fairview. Chris works at Ellis Partners Commercial Real Estate Investors and Developers in San Francisco, has an 18-month daughter, Lily. Jeff is a forensic economist at Pacey Economics in Boulder and is getting married in September, so Sharon's a little busy with that too. So I am pleased to introduce Sharon to you as a new member of Boulder Rotary.
And moving from red badge to blue badge, Jim Umlin with Darla.
Hey, all. Jim has been kicking around our club over the past 11 months, so for many of us, we've had the pleasure of getting to know Jim. So for many of us, he doesn't need a reintroduction, but for those of you who haven't met Jim, it's time you do. You won't be sorry. So Jim entered our life, our Rotary life, last August, shortly after relocating to Boulder. He was inducted in December. Jim is a businessman, and just prior to moving here, he sold his plastics manufacturing company, which he is most proud to have built in part by employing people with special needs. Jim quickly became involved with the PPE committee, Preserve Planet Earth, working with Merrill and the Blue Star Recycling folks on a couple of projects, and a new PPE initiative coming soon to collect used laptops, computers for refurbishment and redistribution to Boulder County students from low-income families. Jim sought other ways to get involved, but expressed a little uncertainty in regard to understanding what all our committees were and what they were doing. We have a lot of committees, as you all know, so it's pretty easy to get involved. You just need to figure out how. This was timely since our membership committee was discussing this very loophole in our onboarding process. So the committee formed an engagement task force and asked Jim to join me along with Charlotte Rem and Cassidy Murphy to brainstorm how to achieve this. The results include Cassidy's development of the table tents. You'll find one on your table today, informing us about different committees, and the PowerPoint you see rolling before each meeting every Friday. Charlotte's development of a database that will be accessible from the website that you will soon be hearing more about. So it becomes easier to enroll in committees and know who's in charge. Jim's development of a how to engage in service booklet that describes the mission and purpose of all BRC committees and will soon be available to potential new and existing members. Jim now is the new Red Badge co-chair, working with Charlotte for 2018-19, focusing on helping new members use the tools described just now and assisting them in the onboarding process so they can more easily learn about how to engage in service. No better person to do that than Jim Umlin. Please join me in re-welcoming him to Boulder Rotary.
You know what's exciting is last year we had 37 new members, 11 just in the month of May and June. So over the coming weeks, you're going to see a lot of new red badges handed out and new people welcome to the club. So that's so exciting. We have no birthdays this week. If it is your birthday anytime this month and you want to say something, sit at the birthday table. George Russell will take care of you. We'll get the PowerPoints all set up. And while we're doing that, we'll have that soon. We will, let's see. We will have Danny come on up. All right.
Stay here, Mike.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to need help for this one. So,
okay, Danny's done. All right.
Thank you all.
What do you need?
PowerPoint? No. So if you looked at the agenda, it says next meeting logistics. Logistics? Back at the Avalon Ballroom. So August 3rd, we're back at the Avalon. And the program of the day is opioid crisis in Boulder County. What can we do to help? So that day, we are going to be doing there's a schedule of events. One of the biggest components of this is we're involved with this opioid crisis. We're going to be managing an opportunity to what we call take back meds, giving everyone a chance to bring their old expired medications that they have just hiding in their medicine cabinet that they've thought about getting rid of and forget about it, and they don't know how to do it, and we don't want to flush it down the toilet. No, there's a proper way to do it. So we're going to be educated, and we're going to be assisted by the Sheriff's Department and a variety of others. So I'll tell you how that works, but we're going to have a little demonstration of how this works. Mike, would you help me please by holding this back?
All right, yes, sir.
Okay. So you go to your medicine cabinet or wherever you keep old medicines, and includes a lot of different things that you can bring and cannot bring. And there is a form on your table to tell you what you can bring and drop. You take your bottle and you pour it into a baggie. I have a lot of drugs. Oh, there. Wait a minute, not done yet.
Okay.
And then the other kind, these are the bad ones, opioids. No, I don't have any. But more drugs. I'm going to take that, we're going to seal this up, and we're going to hand it to Mike, who looks like a sheriff. Mr. Sheriff, could you take that and dispose of that properly for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And then if you bring your bottles, there's going to be another container where you can put your bottles in there, because if my has my name on it, and there'll be a way for them to dispose that. So that's how simple it is. Take back meds, and you can, it was suggested to me when we were talking about this earlier, let's say you're a caretaker for someone, maybe a parent or somebody, and you know they have a lot of medications that are no longer needed or no longer used. Pick those up to bring those. So on the event, so at 10:45 to 12:30 is where we're going to be dropping these off. And like I said, the Department of Public Health and Environment is helping, Boulder County Sheriff's Department. And I want everyone to participate because these guys are donating their time. The Sheriff's Department's going to be there. We want to not just drop 1 or 2 bags. We want to all bring those, and this is a great place to do it. From 11 to 12, we are the Preserve Planet Earth Committee is welcoming Greg Fabriziak, the Environmental Integration Coordinator, the state, and they're going to have a discussion about the proper use and disposal of medications. But for the actual meeting, we are, it's the opioid crisis in Boulder. Our own Boulder Rotarians, Hans Wilk from Mental Health Partners will be on a panel. Greg Fabriziak again, Jamie Feld from the Boulder County Public Health, and Shane Niemeyer is a speaker and coach from True Ambitions, who will be here to discuss that whole crisis and what we can do. Those are the logistics.
All right, thank you.
Coming, the Boulder Flatirons Rotary Club will be selling pizza.
Rotary.
That spells Rotary.
Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the PowerPoint for July 27th, 2018.
The peaches are coming. The Boulder Flatirons Rotary Club will be selling peaches again to raise money for their projects. Each 10-pound box has 20 to 22 peaches with a cost of $27 each. Go to the Flatirons Rotary website to order and pay by credit card.
And I'm feeling the need for speed. The time is near for the Arvada Sunrise Rotary Club's Race for Rotary fundraiser, and we'd love to field a team of 4 to bring the fastest club in the district award back to BRC. Contact Chad Stam if you're interested.
Help build a culture of peace? Join the Peace Building Committee. They are responsible for working with the International Peace Day, the Conference on World Affairs, the Civic Center Peace Park, the Rotarian Action Group Force for Peace.
You want to know more? Contact Sam Pottinger. He's probably at the meeting. Old what's his name?
Hi, Sam.
And the throw is up. And he's got it. It's a one-handed grab. Touchdown! Oh, and this guy is riding Ken Dubach's cow. Well, they're auctioning off both the football tickets and the cow. Generously donated by Ken Dubach and Peter Ewing. Bid sheets are on your tables this week and next week, and the winners will be announced at the August 3rd meeting.
And the Roaring Rotary Signature Event Committee is in need of volunteers to help acquire donations from local businesses for the event's silent auction. We also need volunteers to help out during the event, selling door prizes and 50-50 cash prizes, checking in guests, monitoring auction tables. Please see Joanna Kane to volunteer.
And next week, we're going to be across the street at the Avalon for August 3rd. The program is Opioid Crisis in Boulder County, What You Can Do to Help.
It'll be a panel discussion, and we will also be staging a safe disposal medication take-back event so members can bring in their old, unneeded, and expired medications for safe disposal.
And this concludes the PowerPoint for July 27th, 2018. Be the inspiration through Rotary.
And remember, no act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted.
Everybody, have a great weekend.
Right, thank you. As we go out the doors, you're going to see that there is some lemonade, and here talking about the lemonade is Business Camp. Come on over.
Hi, we are a Swing Beverage Company, and today we're pushing to do our MC Cheers. My name is Evan Buckman, I'm the CEO. My name is and I'm the CFO. My name is Beckett, and I'm the CEO. So our mission is to support Rocky Mountain Pricing Partners by, which I'll get more about later, by selling our Swift brand lemonade in quench all thirsts of Boulder of natural and local. Our ingredients are organic and natural, and they're locally sourced. And they are tart, sweet cherries, and tart cherry extract. Also, there's cucumber cane sugar, Mullen, and lime juice, and first of all, but not least one. So the cost for each cup can be the flavor, the actual cup, and $3 and $30 that use with the profit of $1.20 profit margin. So the charity that we donated all of our proceeds to is Rocky Mountain Pricing Partners. Rocky Mountain Pricing Partners is Colorado's free suicide hotline, which is called if you are feeling depressed, have substance or help. You can also call it if you're a family friend or just want to help someone who's not in the past. It helps them. Our results, we haven't had them yet, because it sells in 5 minutes. Come and support us in the trip. Thank you.
Now, it's okay. You can buy more than one cup. Is that right? You can buy multiple cups? Okay, great. Just making sure. I just want to end today's meeting with some gratitude. The Wine to Water was this past Sunday. There were between 80 and 100 people there. It went very well. We don't have the final numbers, but we've raised money for the good works of our club of over $5,000 as we add it all together. Some of the people who helped put that together are chairs Anne Marie and John Rieger, Joanna Kane, Lindsay Sachs, Nancy Chin Wagner, Gloria Thrall, Valerie Lippitz, Judy Pitt, Andy Meyer, and Wendy Buick. Would you mind standing up and being acknowledged? And of course, I have gratitude for all the people who helped put the meeting together, Don James and Linda, Charlotte, Jean, and Sarah working on at the front desk, John Jonas, who's now helping out with meeting management, Fred Hall, and Grant. Thank you very much. The meeting couldn't happen without you. So really, thank you very much. And last, I have gratitude that we live in a great, beautiful place, and we get to come here every Friday and share our lives together. And we learn something at every single program, and we're doing great things in this community. So I'm very grateful for that. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.